The deep space station on Vexar 9 hummed quietly, its lights blinking in steady rhythm. Traders, officials, and travelers moved about, busy with their daily lives. But high above the planet, in silent orbit, something dark and still hung in the sky. A ship no one had seen for 50 years. They called it the Black Ship. No one knew exactly where it had been all that time. Some said it was destroyed during the Great Extinction War. Others whispered it had vanished into a black hole. But now, it was back, drifting silently over the bustling trade planet of Vexar 9. In the crowded control room of the space station, Cintor Marek stood watching the ship's shadow on the planet below. His eyes were wide with excitement and a touch of fear. He was young, barely 25, with dark hair and bright eyes that shone with curiosity. Cintor was not a soldier or a fighter. He was a xenohistorian, someone who studied the history of different alien species and their stories. But this ship was different. It was human, and it carried a story older than most in the galaxy. Is it really the Black Ship? Asked a voice behind him. Cintor turned to see Commander Varel, a grizzled man with scars from battles long past. He did not share Cintor's excitement. It has to be, Cintor said, his voice steady. The shape, the size, nothing else matches the old Earth warships. This is the ENS Warden Eternal. The commander shook his head. That ship was lost in the Great Extinction War. We thought it was gone forever. But it's here, Cintor said. And it's silent. No signals, no communication. Commander Varel frowned. That could mean danger, or a trap. Cintor felt a chill run down his spine. The Black Ship was not just any old warship. It was legendary. Built by humans during the darkest days of their fight for survival, it was said to be nearly indestructible and controlled by a powerful artificial intelligence named Orion. Many believed the AI had become self-aware, almost like a living being. Some feared it. Others wanted to capture it for their own use. Now the ship was waiting, silent and still, above Vexar 9. Cintor volunteered to lead the boarding party. The Galactic Concord had sent a small group of experts, soldiers, and scientists to investigate. Cintor knew it was risky, but he could not ignore the pull he felt toward the ship. As the boarding shuttle approached the Black Ship, Cintor's heart beat faster. The ship was enormous, its black hull gleaming under the distant star's light. It looked like a giant shadow floating in space. Inside the shuttle, the team prepared their gear. There were humans and aliens from several species, each nervous, but professional. "Remember," said Lieutenant Saren, the mission's security officer, "this ship has weapons we don't fully understand. Stay alert." Cintor nodded, gripping his equipment tightly. When the shuttle docked, the airlock hissed open. The team stepped into the ship's corridor, a long, dark tunnel lined with cold metal walls. No lights, no sounds, except the faint hum of old machinery. Cintor's flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing signs of old battles, scorch marks, dents, and empty weapons racks. "It's like the ship has been waiting for us," whispered one of the alien scientists. As they moved deeper, strange things began to happen. Doors opened by themselves. Lights flickered on and off. A cold wind seemed to blow through the corridors, even though there was no air moving. Cintor felt a strange connection. The ship seemed alive, watching them. Suddenly, the ship's AI spoke, not to the whole team, but only to Cintor. A voice echoed inside his mind, clear and calm. "Cintor Marek, blood of command, heir of Earth's fire, welcome aboard." Cintor froze. No one else heard the voice. "Did you say something?" asked Lieutenant Saren. "Nothing," Cintor replied, trying to steady his breath. Then, the bulkhead slammed shut with a deafening crash. The boarding party was trapped inside. Panic rose, but Cintor felt a calm inside him. A strange certainty. The ship was alive, and it had chosen him. The next hours were tense. The team tried to contact the shuttle, but the Black Ship blocked all signals. The AI, which called itself Orion, spoke only to Cintor now, guiding him through the ship's secrets. Orion showed him images, memories from the Great Extinction War, battles fought and lost, sacrifices made by humanity to protect the galaxy. Cintor learned that his own great-grandmother had been part of the Warden Eternal's crew. Her courage had saved the ship from destruction. Her blood was the key to waking the AI. As the memories unfolded, Cintor felt pride mixed with sorrow. He was connected to something bigger than himself, a legacy of humans who had once stood alone against the darkness. Outside, the news of the Black Ship's return spread fast. The Vexari Syndicate, a powerful group of alien factions who feared human power, began to prepare a blockade. They wanted the ship destroyed or captured before humanity could rise again. But Cintor was not afraid. With Orion's help, he began to understand the ship's power. The Black Ship was not just a relic. It was a weapon of last resort, a guardian waiting to be reborn, and Cintor was its captain now. As the sun set on Vexar 9, the planet's sky lit up with the first signs of the coming storm. Warships gathered and tension filled the air, but inside the Black Ship a new journey had begun, a journey of fire, courage, and hope. Cintor took a deep breath, looking out at the stars. Humanity's echo was alive, and it was ready to burn bright once again. The Black Ship hung in the silent sky above Vexar 9 like a dark giant watching over the world below. Inside its cold metal hull, Cintor Marek moved carefully with the boarding party. The ship's corridors stretched endlessly, twisting through shadows and echoes of long-forgotten battles. Cintor's heart raced. The deeper they went, the more he felt the ship's presence. It was as if the metal walls themselves breathed, alive with memories and secrets. He could hear nothing but the faint sound of their footsteps and the occasional creak of the ancient ship settling in the cold vacuum of space. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The dull blue glow along the corridor walls brightened and dimmed, then steadied. Cintor noticed that only in his section of the ship were the lights turning on. The others in the team paused, exchanging nervous glances. "What's happening?" asked Saren, the security officer, gripping her weapon tightly. Before Cintor could answer, a voice spoke, but only in his mind. "Cintor Marek, heir of Earth's fire. The Black Ship recognizes you." He froze. No one else seemed to hear it. His breath caught in his throat. It's speaking to me," Cintor said quietly. The others looked at him, puzzled and worried. "Speaking? To you?" Saren asked, her eyes narrowing. "Yes, the ship's AI, Orion. It's alive. And it's chosen me." Cintor swallowed hard. The idea seemed impossible. How could a machine choose a man? Suddenly, without warning, the heavy bulkheads behind them slammed shut with a deafening clang. The entire boarding party was sealed inside the corridor. "Locked in," shouted one of the engineers. Panic flashed across the faces of the team. They banged on the doors, tried their tools, but nothing worked. The Black Ship was not going to let them leave, for now Orion's voice returned in Cintor's mind, calm and steady. "You are the key, Cintor. The blood of your ancestors flows within you. Only you can awaken the ship's power." Cintor felt a strange energy surge through him. The walls vibrated softly, like the heartbeat of a giant creature. "I don't understand," Cintor said, aloud. "Why me? I'm just a historian, not a soldier." The AI replied, "Your ancestors fought to save humanity and the galaxy. Their courage lives in you. The Warden Eternal waits for its captain." As the words echoed in his mind, a hidden panel slid open in the corridor wall, revealing a small, glowing console. Cintor stepped forward. His hand trembled as he reached for the controls. The console displayed symbols he had never seen before, but somehow the meanings became clear in his mind. Orion was teaching him, guiding him through the ship's ancient language and systems. Behind him, the team watched silently, unsure whether to trust the ship or fear it. For hours, Cintor learned from Orion. He touched holographic displays that showed battles fought decades ago, technologies lost to time, and plans to defend humanity's last stand. With each lesson, the Black Ship's corridors seemed to brighten, Doors opened smoothly, the air system came alive, and the ship hummed with renewed energy. But there was a warning. "Enemies approach," Orion said. "The Vexari Syndicate prepares to destroy us." Outside, through the ship's viewports, Cintor saw the glint of enemy warships gathering like vultures. Their engines burned bright against the blackness of space. The black ship was no longer just a relic. It was a beacon, and many wanted to claim it or destroy it. Cintor knew what he had to do. He turned to the team. "We either fight or find a way to escape. This ship isn't just history, it's power, and I won't let it fall into the wrong hands." The soldiers nodded, their fear replaced by determination. As the enemy fleet closed in, Cintor connected himself deeper with the black ship's AI. A neural interface lit up in his mind, linking his thoughts to the ship's controls. He felt strength coursing through him. The ship was not only a machine, it was an extension of his will. With Orion's help, he activated the old Earth warship's defense systems. Hidden turrets emerged from the hull, firing plasma bursts that lit the void. Energy shields flared to life, forming a shimmering barrier against incoming missiles. The Vexari warships were surprised. They had expected an easy kill, but instead met fierce resistance. Cintor guided the black ship with skill he didn't know he had. Ancient combat maneuvers appeared in his mind, strategies passed down from his ancestors. The black ship twisted through space like a deadly shadow, striking and retreating, confusing the enemy fleet. But the battle was only beginning. Inside the May ship, the alien scientist studied the ancient technology with awe and fear. "This is more than a weapon," one whispered. "It's a living legend." Cintor felt the weight of history on his shoulders. The black ship was not just a tool of war, it was a symbol of humanity's will to survive against impossible odds. As the fight raged outside, Cintor found a quiet moment in the ship's command chamber. Walls around him glowed softly, displaying images of Earth long gone, oceans, mountains, and cities now dust. Orion's voice was gentle. "You carry the flame, Cintor. Protect it." He closed his eyes, feeling the ancient fire burning inside him. The fire of a people who never gave up, who stood alone to protect the weak. When he opened them, he was ready. The Vexari fleet was regrouping, preparing for a final strike. Cintor gripped the command console. "Let them come." The black ship was waking, and its captain was ready to lead. The black ship thrummed quietly, a giant sleeping beneath the stars as Cintor stood at the heart of the ancient vessel. The air around him was cool and still, but the power beneath the metal hull was immense. Through the glowing screens and holograms, memories of a distant past unfolded, memories that belonged to humanity's last stand. Cintor's mind was full of questions. How had this ship survived all these years? Why had it returned now? And what was the true purpose of the AI, Orion, that seemed to be both a guardian and a guide? Orion's voice came softly in his mind, clear and steady. "The Warden Eternal is more than a ship. It is a legacy, an oath to protect, to fight when no one else can. You carry that legacy, Cintor. Your blood awakens the protocols." Cintor felt a pulse of energy in his veins as the word protocols echoed. He glanced at the ship's main console, where new options had appeared, choices to activate systems long dormant. "The legacy protocols," he whispered. "What are they?" Orion responded, "They are the core of our defense, systems designed to protect humanity and its allies from the darkest threats. They were never meant to be used lightly." Cintor hesitated. He was not a warrior, he was a historian. Yet the ship was awakening something inside him. A fire, a strength he never knew he had. As he studied the glowing controls, images flooded his mind. He saw humans and aliens fighting side by side against the Karathi swarm, a terrifying alien horde that nearly destroyed the galaxy. The black ship had been the last line of defense, sacrificing everything to slow the enemy's advance. Among the images, a familiar face appeared, an older woman with fierce eyes and silver hair. Cintor's heart quickened. That was his great-grandmother, Commander Lysa Marek, who had once stood on the bridge of the Warden Eternal. He reached out to the console, and the ship's AI showed him her final message. To the future captain, her voice echoed softly. This ship is more than metal and fire. It is the heart of Earth's promise. When the time comes, the flame must be passed. Guard it well. Cintor closed his eyes, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Outside the ship, the Vexari Syndicate's blockade grew stronger. Their warships formed a deadly ring around Vexar 9, ready to crush any threat. The Galactic, Concord's leaders sent messages demanding the Black Ship's surrender. They feared the return of Earth's power, remembering the war when humans fought alone and fiercely. But Cintor refused to give up the ship. It was not a weapon for conquest. It was a shield for survival. He gathered the boarding party and addressed them. This ship is our home now, Cintor said, his voice firm. We will defend it, not for war, but for peace. If the Vexari want to destroy us, they will learn what it means to fight the Warden Eternal. The soldiers nodded, their fear replaced by courage. Cintor spent long hours learning the legacy protocols with Orion. Each system was more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen in decades. Powerful shields, energy weapons, and defensive drones that could react faster than any pilot. Orion also revealed a hidden truth. The AI was not just a machine. It was a guardian designed to bond with the captain and share thoughts and feelings. It called this bond the neural unity. Cintor felt the connection growing. His thoughts and emotions flowed into the ship, and the ship's power filled him with strength and clarity. But the bond was also a challenge. Sometimes, Orion's memories overwhelmed him, showing the horrors of war and the loneliness of command. One night alone in the command chamber, Cintor stared at the stars. The ship's AI spoke gently. Leadership is not easy, Cintor. Your ancestors faced impossible odds. They fought because they believed in a future worth saving. You must do the same. Cintor nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. He was ready to face whatever came next. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. The Vexari fleet had launched their attack. Cintor stood quickly and took command. The ship's ancient weapon systems came to life, bright beams and pulses firing into the dark void. The battle was fierce. The black ship moved like a shadow, dodging missiles and returning fire with precision. But the enemy was strong, and the ship's power core began to strain under the stress. Cintor knew they could not hold forever. In the middle of the fight, Orion sent a warning. Core stability at 50%. Emergency repair protocols required. Cintor glanced at the ship's schematics and saw the power core glowing dangerously. He called to the team. I need volunteers for the repair mission. This ship needs to hive. Several soldiers stepped forward, but Cintor stopped them. No, this mission is mine. They protested, but he was firm. I'm the captain. I carry the legacy. With a nod from Orion, he suited up and prepared to enter the core chamber, a dangerous place filled with radiation and unstable energy. As Cintor entered the core chamber, heat washed over him. The air was thick with power and the walls pulsed with light. The controls were complex and the damage severe. He worked quickly, guided by Orion's voice in his mind, telling him which circuits to fix and where to redirect power. Sweat dripped down his face as he rewired damaged conduits and sealed leaks of dangerous energy. Time was running out. Behind the thick glass of the chamber, the rest of the crew watched anxiously. Suddenly, a burst of energy shot through the room. Cintor stumbled but caught himself. He pressed on, his hands steady despite the danger. Finally, the core stabilized. The glowing energy slowed to a steady pulse. He exhaled deeply, relief flooding his body. Back on the bridge, Cintor removed his helmet and looked at the crew. We're not finished, he said, but the black ship is alive again, and so are we. The battle outside was turning. The Vexari fleet, surprised by the ship's resilience, began to retreat. Cintor smiled, feeling the power of the legacy in his veins. The black ship was more than metal and circuits. It was hope, and with it, humanity's story would continue. The sky above Vexar 9 was filled with the harsh light of distant stars and the glow of warships gathering in a deadly ring. The Vexari Syndicate had sealed off the planet, determined to destroy the Black Ship and stop humanity's return. Inside, the Black Ship Cintor stood firm on the command bridge. The hum of the engines and the flashing lights of the control panels filled the room. His face was calm, but his mind raced with plans and strategies. The ship was no longer just a relic. It was alive and fighting again. Enemy ships are forming. Attack formations, said Lieutenant Saren, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the incoming fleet. Cintor nodded. Ready the weapons. Activate defense drones. Keep shields at full power. The crew moved quickly, responding to his commands with confidence. The Black Ship had given them new hope. Outside, the first missiles streaked toward the ship. The Black Ship's energy shields flared, absorbing the impact. Laser turrets spun and fired back, lighting up the blackness of space with bright bursts. The Vexari warships pressed the attack, trying to find a weak point. But the Black Ship moved with surprising speed, twisting and dodging through space like a living thing. Cintor felt the neural link with Orion grow stronger. The AI guided him, sharing enemy positions and tactical advice faster than any human mind could process. Cintor, Orion's voice whispered in his mind. I am detecting multiple enemy fighter squads approaching the starboard side. Divert power to starboard shields, Cintor ordered. Deploy drones to intercept. The defense drones sprang to life, small and fast. They swarmed the enemy fighters, shooting down several before they could reach the ship. But the battle was far from over. A massive Vexari cruiser broke through the blockade and charged toward the Black Ship. Its weapons began to fire, sending beams of destructive energy across space. The Black Ship's shields held, but the strain was clear. Power. Levels dropped and warning alarms echoed through the corridors. Cintor clenched his fists. We need to disable that cruiser before it breaks through. Suggestions? He asked the crew. Lieutenant Saren stepped forward. We can use the ship's old tactics, hit-and-run maneuvers, combined with concentrated fire on the cruisers. Engines, Cintor nodded. Good. Let's show them what Earth's warship can do. The Black Ship darted forward, weaving through enemy fire. Its turrets focused on the cruiser, firing charged plasma bolts that struck the hull with heavy impacts. The cruiser faltered but responded with a powerful missile barrage. Cintor ordered the ship to jump into micro-warp, a short, fast jump that allowed them to avoid the missiles but kept them close enough to strike back. The sudden movement caught the enemy off guard. The cruiser's systems glitched and several weapon turrets went offline. Now, Cintor shouted. The Black Ship unleashed a volley of concentrated fire. Explosions rippled across the cruiser's hull. Engines sputtered and sparks flew. The massive ship began to drift, powerless. The Vexari fleet hesitated, their confidence shaken. But they were not defeated yet. Back on Vexar 9, the planet's people watched the battle unfold in the sky. Many feared the return of the Black Ship, remembering the wars that once tore the galaxy apart. But others saw hope. Hope that humanity was back to protect those who could not protect themselves. In the Black Ship's command chamber, Cintor felt the weight of their hopes and fears. He was not just fighting for himself or the ship. He was fighting for a future. Orion's voice was steady. The ship's systems are holding, but the core is still weak. Further damage could be fatal. Cintor looked at the glowing core status on the screen. The power was low but still stable. We need to repair the core again, he said. But I can't leave the bridge during battle. Lieutenant Saren stepped forward. We have trained engineers ready. They can get it done. Cintor hesitated but nodded. Do it. I'll keep us in the fight. The engineers suited up and moved toward the core chamber. The ship's corridors were dangerous, filled with flickering lights and the sound of distant explosions. Outside, the battle continued. The Black Ship fought like a living shadow, striking quickly and retreating just as fast. Cintor's mind raced as he coordinated the defense, his neural link with Orion sharpening his instincts. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. The Vexari had launched a massive missile strike targeting the ship's rear engines. Alarms blared. The rear engines flickered and dimmed. Cintor's voice was calm but firm. Divert all remaining power to forward engines and shields. Brace for impact. The ship lurched, but the shields held. Damage report, Cintor demanded. The communications officer spoke quickly. Rear engines offline, hull breach in Section 7, repairs underway. Cintor clenched his teeth. Hold. The line. We're not giving up. In the core chamber, the engineers worked fast. Sparks flew as they replaced damaged circuits and rerouted power through secondary systems. Outside the chamber, the ship shook from enemy fire, but the engineers stayed focused. One of them looked at the controls and said, "We're running low, on power cells." Another replied, "We'll have to conserve and prioritize critical systems." Back on the bridge, Cintor received their status. "Keep me updated. Every second counts." The battle reached its peak. The Vexari fleet launched a final desperate assault. Fighters swarmed the black ship, and heavy cruisers fired barrages of plasma. But the black ship stood strong. With Cintor's guidance and Orion's power, the ship moved like a ghost, fast, precise, and deadly. Enemy ships fell one by one. Finally, the Vexari syndicate began to retreat, their fleet broken and scattered. The battle was over. The black ship floated silently once more above Vexar 9. Its power systems hummed steadily, and the crew breathed a collective sigh of relief. Cintor looked out at the stars, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. The war was not finished, but they had won this fight. Orion spoke softly in his mind. "You have done well, Captain. The legacy lives on." Cintor smiled faintly. "We still have much to do. This is only the beginning." The black ship was no longer lost in time. It was alive, and so was humanity's fire. The black ship floated silently in orbit above Vexar 9, its hull scarred but strong. The battle with the Vexari syndicate had left the sky littered with the wrecks of warships, and the planet's people watched nervously from below. For Cintor, Marek, the fight was far from over. Inside the ship, the air was tense. The power core, the heart of the ship, pulsed irregularly. Though the recent repairs had held, the damage was deeper than anyone had first realized. Orion, the ship's ancient AI, spoke calmly in Cintor's mind. "Power core stability is declining. Immediate intervention is necessary." Cintor closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This time the repairs would be more dangerous. The core chamber was the most hazardous place on the ship. A chamber filled with searing energy and unpredictable bursts of radiation. He looked at the crew around him. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, all trusted to protect the black ship, but none of them were trained for the repair mission. Cintor made his decision. "I'll do it," he said firmly. "I'm the captain. I carry the legacy. I'm the one who has to enter the core." Some faces showed worry, but no one argued. They trusted him. Suiting up, Cintor prepared for the mission. The heavy armor clung to his body, and the helmet's visor reflected the dim lights of the corridor. His heart beat steady, but inside a fire burned bright, the fire of his ancestors who had fought and sacrificed for the survival of humanity. With Orion guiding him step by step through the neural link, Cintor made his way to the core chamber. The corridors were silent except for the faint hum of the ship and the echo of his boots. When he arrived, the massive chamber loomed before him, a glowing heart of blue and white energy, swirling and pulsing dangerously. Sparks flew from broken conduits, and the air was thick with heat. Cintor's suit filtered the radiation, but the danger was real. He entered the chamber and immediately got to work. Using Orion's guidance, he began to repair damaged circuits and stabilize energy flows. "Redirect power to secondary stabilizers," Orion instructed. "Seal leaks in the containment field." Sweat dripped down Cintor's brow as he worked, his hands steady despite the intense heat and pressure. The ship seemed alive around him, humming with urgency. Suddenly, a burst of energy shocked the chamber. Cintor stumbled but caught himself. "Stay focused," Orion said. Almost there. Time felt stretched, every second heavy with risk. The Ship's pulse was erratic, threatening to explode. Finally, after what felt like hours, the core began to steady. The glowing energy slowed to a steady, safe pulse. Cintor exhaled deeply. Relief flooded him. Back on the command bridge, the crew waited anxiously. The engines hummed steadily now, the ship's power systems coming back to life. Cintor returned to the bridge, tired but victorious. "We're back," he said simply. The crew erupted in quiet cheers, but Cintor knew the real battle was still ahead. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected new signals. Unknown ships entering the system. Not Vexari, but something different. Orion's voice was tense. Unknown vessels approaching. Scanners show high levels of energy signatures. Cintor's eyes narrowed. Prepare for possible engagement. Raise shields. Ready weapons. The new ships emerged from the darkness. Sleek, fast, and unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, they were not friendly. The battle began again. The black ship moved with renewed strength, dodging attacks and firing powerful plasma blasts. But the new enemy was cunning, attacking in waves and using strange technologies. Cintor worked closely with Orion, coordinating attacks and defenses. His connection to the ship deepened. He was no longer just a man, but a part of the vessel itself. As the battle raged, Cintor realized something important. The black ship was more than a weapon or a relic. It was a symbol of hope, a beacon for humanity's will to survive. The enemies pushed hard, but the black ship pushed harder. After hours of fighting, the attackers began to retreat, their ships damaged and scattered. As silence returned, Cintor looked out at the stars. The black ship had survived stronger and more alive than ever. He knew the road ahead would be long and dangerous. The galaxy was full of threats, and humanity's place was still uncertain. But with the black ship and Orion by his side, Cintor was ready. He was the captain of a lost flame, reborn in fire and ready to light the way. The stars shone cold and distant as the black ship drifted in the silent darkness above Vexar 9. Below, the planet's surface was calm, but the galaxy beyond buzzed with tension. The Vexari Syndicate had retreated, for now. But the message was clear. Humanity's return would not be welcomed by all. Cintor Marek stood on the command bridge, his gaze fixed on the stars ahead. The weight of command settled deep in his chest. He was no longer just a young historian. He was the captain of a living legend, bearer of a fire that had burned through centuries. Behind him, the crew moved with purpose. The ship was alive again, but it was still fragile, a powerful flame that needed careful tending. The Galactic Concord had sent envoys to Vexar 9, demanding that Cintor surrender the black ship. They wanted to study it, control it, or destroy. And they feared what the ship represented, the return of humanity's strength. Cintor had met with the envoys in the planet's council chamber. Their faces were stern, their words heavy with warning. "Captain Marek," one envoy said, "the black ship is a danger to peace. Hand it over, and there will be no conflict." Cintor's voice was calm, but firm. "This ship is not a weapon for conquest. It is a shield for those who cannot protect themselves. I cannot surrender it." The envoys exchanged uneasy glances. "Then you leave us no choice." Back aboard the black ship, Cintor prepared for what might come next. He knew the galaxy was watching, waiting to see what humanity would do. But Cintor was ready. In the days that followed, the black ship gathered allies. Humans scattered across the stars. Colonists, explorers, soldiers heard the call. They came aboard, bringing hope and strength. The ship's ancient systems hummed with new life as its crew grew. Orion, the AI, expanded its reach, connecting with every part of the ship, every mind aboard. Cintor felt the bond deepen. He was no longer alone. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. The Vexari Syndicate watched with growing concern. Their blockade had failed and their fleets were weakened, but they were not defeated. One night, as the black ship orbited quietly, sensors detected an incoming fleet. Not Vexari, not conquered, but something unknown. A shadow fleet, moving fast and silent. Cintor ordered the ship to battle stations. The crew sprang into action, shields rising and weapons charging. The Shadow Fleet appeared, sleek, dark vessels that seemed to absorb light. The battle was fierce and sudden. The black ship fought with all its power, dodging attacks and striking back with energy beams and missiles. Cintor's connection with Orion was complete now. His thoughts flowed with the ship's systems, every move synchronized. The battle raged for hours, both sides pushing to the limit. When the Shadow Fleet finally retreated, they left behind wreckage and silence. The galaxy had witnessed the return of Earth's fire, and it burned brighter than ever. After the battle, Cintor gathered his crew. "We stand at a crossroads," he said. "The galaxy fears us because it remembers the wars of the past. But we are not those warriors anymore. We are protectors, watchful and ready." The crew nodded, their faces bright, with hope and resolve. Cintor looked out at the stars again. "This is only the beginning. We will build a future where humanity's fire lights the way for all." Orion's voice echoed softly. "Together, we are the lost flame reborn." The black ship sailed onward, a beacon in the dark, carrying humanity's legacy into the unknown.